It wasn't entertainment. It was a transmission delivered through shadows, static, and something that looked like a child but wasn't. Eraserhead wasn't made to explain anything. It was made to infect. David Lynch's first film didn't just subvert logic, it discarded it. Shot over 5 exhausting years, in abandoned buildings and forgotten corners of Los Angeles, this nightmare was assembled piece by piece like a message from a half-remembered dream. No studio asked for it. No audience was prepared for it. And yet, those who've seen it never really let it go. Stanley Kubrick called it essential viewing. Film schools still won't agree on what it means. And the creature at its center, its pulsing, inhuman heart, has never been fully revealed. You don't watch Eraserhead. You survive it. These are 20 weird facts you didn't know about Eraserhead, 1977. And if you thought the film was unsettling before, wait until you see what was happening behind the screen. Fact number 1. No one knows what it was. The baby in Eraserhead isn't listed in the credits. It has no official name, no confirmed construction, and no one outside of Lynch himself knows what it actually was. Some said it was a skinned animal. Others, a handcrafted animatronic with impossibly lifelike movements. But even those who worked on the set admitted they were never allowed to see it uncovered. When filming stopped, it was cloaked in secrecy literally, covered with fabric, moved by Lynch alone, and stored out of sight. In interviews, Lynch has never broken his silence. Not once. His only comment, "I won't talk about it." And somehow, that silence made it more terrifying. Because whatever it wasn't acting. It looked like it was alive. Fact number 2. 5 years of film and fear. Most films shoot for months. Eraserhead lasted nearly half a decade. Filming began in 1971 and limped to completion in 1976. Not because of artistic indulgence, but because of limitation. Money dried up constantly. Sets were built with junk. Lynch moved into the abandoned stables where they were filming, eating little, sleeping less, editing in the same room where scenes were shot the night before. Jack Nance, who played Henry, wore the same costume, the same hairstyle, for years. Not because it was comfortable, but because he had no idea when the next scene would be filmed. Entire storylines were changed mid-production. Lighting setups were invented from trash. Dialogue was rewritten based on what could be filmed that week. And through all that chaos, something unexplainable happened. The film got stranger, darker, as if the delay wasn't a problem, but the point. Fact number 3. Kubrick watched it before he made his horror. The Shining didn't come from nowhere. Before Stanley Kubrick began filming, he gathered his cast and crew for a screening. But it wasn't a horror classic. It wasn't even mainstream. It was Eraserhead. Kubrick believed it was the purest representation of nightmare logic ever captured on film. Not because it explained fear, but because it didn't. Jack Nicholson sat in silence. Shelley Duvall reportedly looked disturbed. No notes were taken. The mood was set. Kubrick never publicly praised the film, but those close to him knew. Eraserhead was the psychological blueprint for The Shining. Not in plot, not in theme, in tone, in dread, in something wrong that never says its name. Fact number 4. The sound makes you sick for a reason. You can close your eyes during Eraserhead, but you can't turn off what you hear. The film is soaked in noise, low-frequency hums, static pulses, mechanical breathing. None of it is accidental. David Lynch and Alan Splett didn't use a traditional score. They built a sonic environment, layer by layer, night by night, using recordings from broken machinery, neon buzz, industrial fans, and malfunctioning appliances. The result isn't music, it's anxiety. Even in quiet scenes, there's always something crawling underneath the silence. Viewers have reported nausea, headaches, disorientation. Some say, it's too much. Lynch would say, that means it's working. Because in Eraserhead, the sound doesn't just accompany the horror. It is the horror. Fact number 5. The chicken didn't scream. It bled. There's a scene where a tiny roast chicken begins to twitch on a dinner plate. Then it opens. Then it bleeds. There's no scream, no music cue, Just silent horror. The effect wasn't explained. Lynch never said how he did it. But even professional effects artists today still pause at that moment and ask, how? It's a turning point in the film not because of gore, but because it takes something familiar, even dull, and turns it alien. Everyone at the table pretends it's normal. And that's what makes it unbearable. The horror isn't the bleeding chicken. It's the quiet compliance around it. Fact number 6. The title wasn't a metaphor. It was a dream. The name Eraserhead didn't come from the script. It came from a dream Lynch had while developing the film. He saw his own head fall off, roll into the street, and get picked up by a boy. The boy took it to a factory, where workers drilled into the skull and scraped out the inside. "What is this?" the boy asked. "Erasers," they answered. Lynch woke up and never questioned it. The title fit. The dream became a scene. Logic didn't matter. The subconscious had already decided. And maybe that's why the film feels the way it does. Like a message from a place you've never been, but somehow remember. Fact number 7. Almost lost in smoke. For a film that feels like it came from the ashes of a nightmare, it almost returned to them. During post-production, Lynch stored the film reels in a makeshift shed behind the AFI building. It was temporary. It was unprotected. And one night, a fire started nearby. The shed wasn't touched by flames, but smoke slipped in. The heat warped some of the reels. Lynch arrived the next morning and checked each canister by hand. Slowly, quietly. Had the fire moved just a few feet farther, the entire film, the only existing negative, would have been destroyed. No backup, no digital safety net, just celluloid and chance. Some movies feel like they were saved for a reason. This one feels like it survived on purpose. Fact number 8. The woman in the radiator wasn't supposed to exist. She wasn't planned. The lady in the radiator, puffy-cheeked, soft-voiced, and otherworldly, wasn't part of the original vision. She arrived out of necessity. Lynch said the film became too dense, too claustrophobic. It needed a counterweight, something dreamlike, almost gentle. So he created her. Built a tiny stage inside a radiator. Found a performer with an unsettling calm. Wrote one line for her to sing. In heaven, everything is fine. She doesn't explain anything. She doesn't need to. She offers something Eraserhead doesn't have anywhere else. A choice. Whether that choice is comfort or surrender is up to you. Fact number 9. The hair was real. Too real. Henry's hair isn't just iconic, it's oppressive. Jack Nance had it styled on day 1. Then he kept it for 5 years. Through every pause in filming, every funding delay, every reshoot, not because he wanted to, because continuity required it. The towering, immovable hairstyle became part of his life. People stared. Roles were lost. His identity blurred with Henry's. Lynch wouldn't allow changes, not even a trim, because the hair wasn't a detail. It was a signal, a silhouette of someone permanently caught between collapse and control. By the time filming ended, Nance wasn't playing Henry anymore. He was wearing him, and Henry didn't come off. Fact number 10. A set made from wreckage. The decay in Eraserhead isn't production design. It's real. Lynch scavenged the ruins of Los Angeles to build the film's world. Rusted vents, cracked tiles, wires stripped from abandoned hospitals. Most of what you see on screen was once trash. The apartment walls? Foam insulation painted to resemble brick. The hallway? A decommissioned utility tunnel deep under the AFI lot. The light fixtures? Salvaged from broken machinery and stitched together with duct tape and desperation. Lynch wasn't just saving money. He was choosing texture over polish. He wanted everything to feel like it was already dying, already rotting. And it worked. Because nothing in Eraserhead looks designed. It looks infected. Fact number 11. Flashlight bulbs, not spotlights. Cinematographers talk about painting with light. Eraserhead painted with shadows and a handful of flashlight bulbs. Lynch and Frederick Elms couldn't afford real film lights, so they used what they had. Small bulbs, foil, bits of mirror, and instinct. Scenes were lit from behind walls, through torn fabric, or reflected off rusted metal panels. One shot Henry sitting motionless in a dark room was lit with a single bulb the size of a thumb. The glow flickered, as if uncertain whether it wanted to illuminate or vanish. That flicker wasn't a bug. It was the soul of the scene. Because Eraserhead doesn't shine light on its world. It lets just enough escape to show you how much darker it gets. Fact number 12. He fed on sugar and sleep deprivation. There were days David Lynch survived on nothing but coffee and sugar. Not sugar and coffee, just sugar, dry, by the spoonful. While editing Eraserhead, he stayed in the same space where the film was shot, sleeping on a couch, working through the night. Meals got in the way. Normal routines didn't fit the atmosphere he was trapped in. Friends offered food. He declined. He wanted to stay in the dream, or the nightmare, whatever it was. And it shows, because the film doesn't feel like it was cut together by hand. It feels like it assembled itself in the fevered mind of someone who hadn't eaten in days and didn't want to. Fact number 13. Nobody wanted it until everyone did. When Lynch finished Eraserhead, the reaction was almost total silence. Distributors passed without comment. Test audiences walked out. One executive muttered, "We don't know what this is, but it's not for us." Lynch didn't argue. He just found a different door. He booked midnight screenings, college circuits, word-of-mouth venues that didn't care about reviews, only reactions. And then, something strange happened. People kept coming back. Viewers whispered lines they couldn't explain, debated scenes they barely remembered. They didn't want clarity. They wanted contamination. Eraserhead didn't break through the system. It burrowed under it. Fact number 14. A suit that absorbed time. Henry's suit aged with the film. Literally. It was never washed, never replaced. From the first day of shooting to the last across 5 fractured years, it stayed the same. Fabric became stiff. The lining tore. It began to smell faintly metallic, like old coins and dust. But Lynch wouldn't allow a backup. Continuity demanded that even decay be preserved. Jack Nance accepted it, wore it like a uniform, a skin. By the end, it didn't feel like a costume anymore. It felt like the film had claimed him. Henry doesn't change in the movie, and neither did the suit. Fact number 15. The most unnerving performance wasn't acting. There's a woman who walks past Henry in the hallway. She doesn't speak. She barely looks up, and she steals the scene. She wasn't in the script. She wasn't even an actress. She lived in the building Lynch was using. When asked to leave during filming, she declined. So Lynch asked her to walk through a shot. She agreed on one condition: no lines. Her silence, her slow steps, her absence of expression, it wasn't rehearsed. It was real, and that's what makes it unforgettable. She didn't play a ghost. She just passed through, as if the film had already absorbed her too. Fact number 16. The baby had its own quarantine. It didn't sit on a prop table. It had its own room. The creature known only as the baby was stored between shoots in a locked, windowless space that no one was allowed to enter. Lynch guarded access like it was radioactive. Only he and one assistant ever handled it. Even the actors were kept at a distance. When filming paused, it was gently wrapped, sealed in a velvet-lined box, and placed back in the dark. One crew member reportedly tried to sneak a peek. He wasn't seen on set again. Whatever it wasn't treated like latex and wires. It was treated like a living thing. And if you ask Lynch what it was, he'll say, "I'm not talking about that." Fact number 17. There was no map. By the time Eraserhead reached post-production, the script had disintegrated. Scenes had been filmed out of order. Dialogues rewritten. Entire moments invented on the spot. Lynch didn't reconstruct a story. He followed a rhythm, a pulse. If a sequence felt off, he moved it. If it echoed something else, he buried it deeper. There was no structure, only sensation. Some edits were made because of a sound, others because of a blink. In the end, the film wasn't built like a narrative. It unfolded like a memory you're trying to forget and keep remembering at the same time. Fact number 18. A dead cat marked the scene. One night, on a routine setup, the crew noticed a smell. Sharp, wet, foul. They traced it to a vent. Inside, curled and silent, was a dead cat. No one had seen it enter. The building was locked, the shaft sealed. Lynch said nothing, just had it removed. Quietly, buried. That same night, the lights flickered, a camera jammed, and the next day's footage came out darker than expected. Too dark to correct, but Lynch kept it. No one remembers which scene it was, but many agree. One part of Eraserhead feels different, like something wasn't supposed to be there, but refused to leave. Fact number 19. A title that came in a whisper. Before it was Eraserhead, it had another name. A stranger one. Gardenbeck. That early concept, half story, half poem, involved insects growing from a man's spine, symbolic of repressed desire. But Lynch abandoned it. Too literal, too alive. Then he had a dream. His head rolled onto a sidewalk. A boy picked it up, carried it into a factory. Workers drilled in, pulled out fibrous pulp. The boy asked, "What is this?" They answered, "Erasers." He woke up and wrote down one word, Eraserhead. That was it. No explanation. Just transmission. Sometimes the most accurate titles aren't chosen. They're delivered. Fact number 20. No answers, just echoes. Fans have begged Lynch to explain the film. He never has, and never will. Ask him about the baby, he won't answer. Ask about the meaning, he'll smile. Ask what it all means, and he'll say, whatever it means to you. He believes stories should breathe on their own. That meaning kills mystery. That clarity ends curiosity. So Eraserhead remains what it's always been. A film with no map, no compass, no exit. A place you wander into and carry pieces of forever. Because the true horror isn't in what the film shows. It's in what it refuses to explain. Bonus fact. The film watches you back. You don't finish Eraserhead. You just step away from it. And later, maybe days, maybe weeks, it's still there. Some viewers swear they remember scenes that aren't in the film. Sounds that follow them into sleep. Images that appear when the screen is off. That's the thing about Eraserhead. It doesn't live inside your memory. It nests. It adapts. Watch it once, and it becomes something strange. Watch it again, and it's not the same film anymore. Not because it changed, but because you did. Lynch designed it this way. A film that never resolves, never clarifies, never lets go. So maybe the weirdest fact is this. You didn't watch Eraserhead. Eraserhead watched you. If one of these facts stayed with you longer than it should have, tell us. Which part rewrote the way you remember Eraserhead? Which moment didn't feel like trivia but a warning? Leave a comment. And if you're ready for more stories that don't explain themselves, but leave fingerprints behind, subscribe. We'll keep digging. And the next film we uncover might already be hiding on your shelf, waiting to be seen for the first time again.